Hi, Rucha.
Hi,
Uh,
Abhi.
Hi. Thank you so much for letting me do this interview. I really appreciate it. So I'll just give you a context in maybe a minute. I've already obviously spoken to you about this, but so I'm taking the series of interviews with people I know who I think have taken enormously brave decisions in their lives and in their careers, and and are currently at a great space as far as their careers are concerned. So you are obviously one of them, because looking at your journey, I think it's a very inspiring journey. So thank you so much for accepting to do this. I'm calling this series Discomfort Zone,
Thank
because we are so used to the comfort zone, and then there are only a few people who kind of break that comfort zone. So let's get started with the first question.
Okay, thank you so much for doing this with me. Really, thank you for wanting to listen to my story.
Hey, no problem. And I can already see that you're sitting in the jungle, nice and relaxed. So I am definitely looking forward to bringing out the inspiring story about you that I know in bits and pieces. And hopefully, whoever is watching this, listening to this, will also be inspired to take some brave decisions.
Okay, I hope so too.
Right. So I genuinely believe that most of uh, I mean, the way we behave as adults, which we are right now, somewhere the seed is planted in our childhood when we are growing up, right? So I, kind of want to know, understand exactly how your, let's say, childhood was, upbringing was, your education. Were you always a rebel? And everything that probably you would like to share about your childhood.
Okay, so I grew up in a typical Maharashtrian family, and for me, in my head, my life was already imagined and put in place by my parents, and I was really okay with it. I mean, no complaints at all, because that's how it has been ever since, and that's how it had been for them. So I don't believe I'm saying this on camera, but when I was 18 years old, um, I would have probably believed that by the age of 24 I would be married, and maybe by 26 I'll have a kid, and I don't even want to have kids. So maybe I thought, okay, I'll get over it, because that's how life usually is.
Hmm.
And then, uh, when I was 19 years old, I was studying German in Max Muller. I was studying German for a while before that, but at 19, I met someone who really changed my entire perspective about life in general. So, till then, I did not even know uh, where Meghalaya is or Manipur is. And I met him, and he's a very good, very close friend of mine. I met him, and he told me he's from Shillong. So my first reaction was, great, but where is Shillong? Is that even in India? And I'm very embarrassed to say this right now. Um, but yes, that's when I got to know that, oh, there's a northeastern side of India, and there are people there who look like this, who behave like this, and it was a whole new world for me. It opened up a whole new world for me. And on top of that, he is someone who had traveled, let's say, some 30-35 countries when I met him, and he was just 1 year elder to me.
Wow.
And I did not even know that a life like that can exist. For me, my life was within my four walls, within my own city, in Pune, and I had no idea that something like this can even exist. Maybe in my head, this would have existed in a fictional world, but I met him and I realized, ki, oh, I know nothing. I literally know nothing. And that's when I started talking to him more. I got to know about so many little countries that I had no idea about. I got to know about the culture of the Northeast. I got to know how it's so different, why it's so different. And I think that's when the seed was planted that, oh, I mean, this is not it. The life that I see or the life that I imagine, it's not it. And that's when um, slowly it started developing. And then when I was finally done with my masters, which I did in German literature, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And the 18-year-old me would have never ever ever imagined moving out of home, going and staying in a completely different city, doing something like this would have been it would have been quite scandalous for the 18-year-old me, as it was for my parents. But then at the age of 22 or 23, I don't remember, I decided to move out, which was probably the biggest step
Mhm.
that I took for myself, which I'm so thankful for. I took up a job at Amazon. I shifted to Bangalore as a German translator.
Mm.
So after which, I when I shifted to Bangalore, I realized that oh, my life in Pune was so comfortable, and this is completely different. So
Mm.
that's how it all started. That's how I started to rebel. I would call it positive rebelling, of course. I started to rebel because I wanted to explore what I could have, uh, what I could experience in my life. I wouldn't call achieve because
Mm.
that's a very big word, but I wanted to experience different things that I had no idea about a few years ago. But now suddenly, after a few years, my entire world opened up, and I saw um, so many different opportunities that I didn't even know existed. So that's how it started.
Okay, okay, that's pretty amazing. So, as a child, I mean, you had never thought about doing what you're doing right now. So it is only after you met your friend. So was that kind of a trigger, or were you always a little uncomfortable with your life, and you always wanted to explore and experience more of life?
Actually, I was super comfortable and I was very content with what I had. So now I'm a little unsure if that meeting with my friend was a positive thing at all. I'm kidding. I love it. I love it now. But I was super content with my life. But I also knew that I wanted to do something offbeat. But for
Mm.
me, offbeat was also still within my
Mm.
bracket. It was still
Like,
within Pune. It was still within. So I've always had great love for old people, and I've always wanted to work with old people.
okay,
And this is something that I knew would be challenging. I knew it from the very beginning, but I knew I wanted to work in the social sector and I wanted to work with old people.
okay,
I also knew that I really enjoyed teaching, so I wanted to do something in teaching. But again, offbeat teaching, experiential teaching. So
yeah,
I always wanted to um, do something offbeat because I've always been inclined to doing offbeat things, but it was still within the bracket. Do you
okay.
know what I mean?
Kind of, kind of. But then, if you always wanted to do that, you actually took up a job in Amazon, and I think half the countries, uh, looking out for a job in Amazon. So, what was your reason behind taking up the job at Amazon?
It was actually really simple in my head. I really never wanted to do a corporate job, never ever. But this was my ticket to move out of home,
Oh, okay.
and that's why I took it up. Very very honestly, that
Okay.
was one of the main reasons, and I was super excited to live by myself. I was super excited to see how it feels like to be in a completely different state.
Mm.
City, I can still imagine if I moved from, let's say, Pune to Bombay, it would still be slightly easier. But moving states was a huge deal for me. Now it looks like a small thing, but these tiny steps have led me to where I am today.
Okay.
So the only reason why I took up that job at Amazon was
Hmm.
the moving out bit.
Okay.
Um, but I always knew I didn't want to do a corporate job.
Now, any normal person would, probably move from Amazon to, let's say, Microsoft, from Microsoft to Facebook, and from Facebook to Google, and probably retire at the age of 45 or 50, and have a great life of his own. So, what I mean, you did mention that Amazon was your actually, ticket to move out, but didn't the overall, high paycheck and the corporate lifestyle and the comfortable lifestyle come in the way of you taking a decision to move out of that?
So there's two phases to this. Phase one is I was supposed to stay at Amazon only for a year. I ended up staying for about 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Reason being, I was dependent on the money that was coming in, of course, because not that my family was dependent on it or anything, but for the sole reason that I didn't want to move back home. I really wanted to do this by myself,
Mm,
and how else to do it if you're not earning any money? So I thought about quitting multiple times, but 1 year became 3 years, and I was getting pulled into the rut because I was dependent on the money.
mm,
But I was never ever I never once even felt that um, I want more money, so let's do this more. I remember in Amazon they used to pay us double for overtime and things like that. I never opted for it because
mm,
I never really wanted the money. For me, money was only for the essentials, only to pay rent, only to feed me. But it was never a deciding factor for me in my life, ever, from the very beginning. So it wasn't very difficult for me to let go of the financial factor at all when I moved here. But yeah, it did play a role in it did play a role in the first phase that I just mentioned, where I was dependent on it because I wanted to stay out. So
okay.
yeah, and I was never this super ambitious person who wanted to go up the ladder in a corporate sector. Never, never.
Okay. And then after Amazon, I mean, what happened, or what was, why didn't the 3 years then turn into 5 years? What was it that was again the trigger for you to move out of Amazon?
So by the end of 1 year, 1.5 years, I had started losing patience. I really did not want to do this. Um, I started contacting a few places that I wanted to work with, like Sunbird Trust.
Mm,
Um, Sunbird Trust, somehow I could not get in touch with the CEO for the longest time. Um, because I don't know, he was caught up with a lot of things, and somehow the meet always got delayed. So I think I contacted him when tried to contact him first when I was in my uh, maybe some 18th month in Amazon or something, when I'd had enough.
okay.
I'd had enough way before that, but I just didn't realize it. Um, but it somehow didn't work out. And then I tried doing other things. For example, I started my own YouTube channel then because I was frustrated.
Mm,
I started interning at a coffee shop in Bangalore, which I
wow.
completely loved. And I used to really look forward to my weekends at the coffee shop. The coffee shop is called Coffee Mechanics, and I love coffee. So that's where I learned manual brewing techniques, and I learned all these really, really cool things, something I was very passionate about. So these things made my life a little bit easier over the weekends or when I had time. But still, I used to dread Mondays a lot. And um, one fine day, I realized, so it was my birthday. Actually, this is what happened. I just remembered. It was my birthday. My parents had come over to Bangalore to spend my birthday with me, and I started my period that day, so I was in a lot of pain, menstrual pain. Um, and I called up my manager. I texted my manager saying, "Listen, I'm in a lot of pain. I can't come in today. Uh, I can't come into office." And he thought I was making up excuses because it was my birthday or something. And then he sent me a long message which basically said that, first of all, happy birthday. Second of all, if you didn't want to come in on your birthday, you didn't have to lie. I don't care about your menstrual cramps. That you can take a mephthal spaz and come to office if you wanted to. Like, he said
Wow.
all of these things.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and I was just so upset. And my parents were there, and first of all, I didn't get a leave on my birthday. It's not that I celebrate birthdays. It's not like I'm a big fan of birthdays at all. But my parents were there, and that meant a lot to me. But I couldn't even get one day off from my family, and I think that's when it ticked me off so bad. Um, I basically I couldn't deal with what just happened, because in my head I've never ever considered work over my family or my personal life, because never thought it was worth it, and that just did it. So as soon as my parents left, I spoke to some of my closest friends, and that was that. I did it, and I haven't felt more relieved about anything in my life. And thankfully Sunbird worked out just a few months after that,
Hmm.
when I got a call saying, "Hey, we are in need of so and so. Do you want to come in?" I said, "Of course. I'm jobless now anyway. Please."
Okay.
So yeah,
So how much
that's how it happened.
oxygen did you have to keep going on? Did you, then you would have to come back to Pune, right? After you ran out of money. So did you have enough oxygen to just, stay back in Bangalore? And then what were your other options if Sunbird did not work out?
Um. So thankfully, Amazon, and me being a language expert, I had enough to go on for maybe a year or something. And but in any case, I wanted to go back home for a while, because I wanted to spend time with my family as well before I moved out to Manipur.
Hmm.
But it all actually happened. It was quite funny how it happened. Uh, you want to know how it happened?
Of course.
So this one time, I took it. Actually, I was very smart about it. Okay, I um I wouldn't say I manipulated them, but I was smart about it. So what happened was, told I asked my dad if he wanted to come on a walk with me. He said, "Of course." So I took him for a walk, and one second, yeah. So I took him for a walk. We went to the university, walked, talked about life and things like that. And then I sat him down and I showed him one video. I don't know if you've watched the Luminous video. Oh, you have watched.
Yes, sir, I have.
Yeah. So made him watch that video, and that video really touches you. Like, it touches all the right spots in your heart. Okay. So I showed him that video, and he asked me, "What is this place?" I said, "This is the place that I really want to work at. So I've already applied. I've already gotten a yes from them. So I really want to work here." And he was thoroughly confused. He said, "What do you mean when you say that you want to work here? And this is really going to make me happy." And showed him that video in the right time, and he just said, "Okay." He didn't really say okay. He asked me if I knew, and I don't remember if I told I before. I think I told my mom a little late. And their first reaction was, of course, they were super super worried, and they said, like, "What are you talking about? Do you even know where you're what you're talking about?" I said, "Yes." Then they asked me how much I'll get paid at Sunbird, and then they again weren't happy at all. Why switch yourself from Amazon to Sunbird? And then I explained to them why it was important for me. Explained to them why uh, it was really good for my mental health, which is something that I really wanted to concentrate on.
Okay.
So after a lot of to and fro, I got them convinced, and of course it was a very hard decision for them,
Mm,
me being their daughter,
mm,
especially because I'm a girl in this country, and going to a place so remote. So I'm in Manipur right now,
mm.
and I'm in a small village called Ijerong, and this village is not even on Google Maps. It's so small.
Wow.
I'm basically in the middle of a jungle, as you can see right now, middle of a jungle on top of a mountain. So for my parents, sending their little daughter to a place like this was, of course, a challenge, but they did it, and I I don't know how. For example, if I had a daughter, I would have had a super hard time letting her go to a place like this, especially after knowing that this area was once infested by insurgency and the UG armies and things like that. But yeah, they did it. They. I told them I really need to do this, and they were okay with it. And wow, I'm just super proud of them. Like super proud of my Hindu Maharashtrian parents for letting their daughter go to a place like this, because it's not something that you come across very often.
Yeah.
It was difficult for them, but they didn't give me a very hard time. They trusted me with my decision, which is a big deal for me. So,
But I'm just thinking now that there would have been so many other um, easier places to go to. Probably you could have picked up a job at an NGO in Bangalore or in Pune or in Mumbai, Delhi, whatever, and you could have done something similar to what you're doing right now. So, did you choose to go to the Northeast on purpose?
mm, well, yes and no. Yes, why? Because since the time, so I've been to before coming to Manipur, I'd been to Northeast only once. I'd gone to Shillong, Meghalaya, with a friend of mine to visit another friend, and I saw what I saw only maybe a glimpse of what the Northeast was, and it was insane, like, so beautiful. And Shillong is a city, and being a city, it was insanely beautiful. And then we went to the outskirts multiple times, and I was just mind blown. So I knew that the Northeast has so much to offer that none of us really know about,
Hmm.
and we have so much stigma going around the Northeast and how it's unsafe and things like that. I really wanted to experience it for myself. So yes, and number two, this opportunity literally came knocking at my door
Hmm.
at the right time, because a friend of mine used to work here with Sunbird Trust, and she used to keep posting about Manipur, and then we spoke about it once, and it looked unreal what she used to post, and I read her blogs, and it was just something else. It was something that I thought uh, I would thrive in an environment like this.
Hmm.
So that's why, like, both these things came
Okay.
together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did it live up to your expectations? Because a lot of times it so happens that you really look at something, but the reality turns out to be something else entirely. So, how was your experience been in the Northeast and Sunburn?
Well, it's at least 1,000 times better than what I expected it to be,
Wow.
because pictures don't do justice to the place or the people, or words can't describe what one feels when one's here. Um, I was scared initially because life here is it's tough. it's not the easiest. We have a huge water problem. We have, for example, right now in the lockdown, yes, I can come out to the jungle. I can do whatever I want. Like I'm not stuck in the house, but we don't have supplies. So we basically eat dal and rice every day. If we're lucky, if we get some vegetable, sometimes then we have some vegetable, but otherwise we've been living on dal and rice. We have no water. We barely have any dal left now, so I don't know what's gonna happen next. But there are challenges. But despite all of this, I find it insanely worth giving up my old life for, because uh, the place in itself is so magical that it makes everything else seem so petty. So, for example, this morning there were clouds in my kitchen. Where does this even happen? Like, where? How does it happen?
Mm.
And this is like an everyday thing here. Clouds are everyday visitors. These colorful, beautiful insects on our bodies are everyday visitors, and I love all of these things. I This is literally like I'm just so myself here. I feel so myself here.
Okay,
So yeah, it's insane. I love it.
it's amazing. And was there ever a thought of what if this doesn't work out? So was there a backup plan in place?
I never have backup plans, like never. Um, Life has always worked out for me. Touch wood, touch wood. I've probably been lucky, or I've just had enough faith in the universe to make things happen for me. But I've never had a backup plan. And it's worked out great for me because once you have a backup plan, you probably close your eyes to opportunities that come your
Mm,
way.
mm.
And for me, that never really happened because I just went with the flow. Even now, I don't know what I'm going to do next. I do not have a plan, but I know for a fact something or the other will come out of this. So
Okay. And how
let's see.
attached are you to like material stuff? So did it ever bother that taking up a job like this, you would have to compromise on a lifestyle?
After coming here, I realized that I've always lived a very minimalistic lifestyle. So
Okay.
it didn't require me to make any major changes in my lifestyle here.
Okay.
Literally, like I hate shopping. I hate it. So I never went shopping for clothes. All of my clothes are gifted by my friends because I think they feel bad for me that I don't have clothes. But literally, like my lifestyle has always been minimalistic. So it didn't make much of a difference to me. And I've never had big dreams of owning a house, owning a car, doing this. No, I've always had big dreams of visiting places, traveling, meeting new people. So on that front, um, it's a little hard because now if I want to, let's say, if I want to make a trip to Europe, it's not going to be the easiest for me at the moment. But other than that, nothing. Like I didn't have to let go of any dream or any kind of lifestyle. Nothing.
And is there anything that you do not like about being there?
No, actually, that's what I was trying to say. That do not like is something is a question that I may not be able to answer. But there are challenges of living here. So there are times when I feel super lonely. Um, and there are times when I crave a nice cafe which would serve me good coffee. And that is not possible here.
Mm.
And loneliness doesn't really have an answer here. So
Mm.
what I have friends and family here, of course, but
By
I
family you
still
mean
sometimes huh?
by family you mean
Okay, so I live with a host family
oh, okay.
here, and they're like our own family. It's a huge family with one appu appi, that is grandmother, grandfather. Their four children, two of them are married with two kids. Then these children's wives, sister, nephew, whatever. So it's a big family, and they treat us like their own children. And Appu, which is grandfather, he brings us pineapples and all every other day, and
Wow.
it's insane. Like we live with a family here.
Mm,
We have two different houses, but yeah, it's in the same campus. So we live with one family, and the people that I live with are also incredible. Of course, like people who are coming here have to be incredible. You can't be not incredible if you're
mm,
letting go of your city life and coming here.
mm.
So the people that I'm living with are really, really nice. So they are also family. So we're
Okay.
all living here together as a family.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
Okay. Good. I think the most important question that I do want to ask you, especially because not a lot of people in Pune, around Pune, or in the cities in India, are aware about uh, you know the life in the Northeast and the people there, the culture there. So is there anything that you would like them to be aware about, how exactly the life is, the people are, how difficult or easy it is, the supplies, electricity? Now, right now, I see that you have internet. So is it almost like any other city or town or village in India, or is it entirely different?
Mm, well, you asked me a lot of questions, and I have a lot to say on everything. Do we have time?
Yes, yes, we have a lot of time.
Okay. So, uh, I'll just answer your internet question. So, when I came here, which was in March last year for the first time,
So you've been there
uh,
for over a year.
I had to. No, I came to visit in March for 15 days, and then I went back, and then I came after. Then I came in May.
Okay.
So I joined in May, but yeah, I came here in March. That time, if I wanted to talk to anyone, if I wanted to use my phone, I literally had to go out of my window. So there's my window and there's a roof. I had to go out of my window, sit on the roof, probably look for network somewhere up there, and hope to send a message. It was that bad. But when I came in May, there was a tower in place suddenly out of nowhere. It wasn't working, of course, but it was there. And a few months after that, I think August, September, we got network connectivity. So now I think I have better network connectivity here than in Pune, my home. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm really not kidding. But this is, of course, on good days. You don't have access to it every day. For example, yesterday it rained, and it rains here very often, and the network went off. Or 3 4 days the tower in front of our house was not working. So it's not very reliable, but when it's working, it works well.
Mm,
That's number one. What was about life here? One thing I really want to stress upon is the safety. um I have never felt so safe in my entire life anywhere in the world, and I've traveled quite a bit. So um here in we our house doesn't have a lock. My room doesn't have a lock. uh, I leave my belongings on my bed or wherever in the house, maybe even outside on the bench outside my house, and nobody would even touch it. Nobody would do anything unethical or immoral. Stealing is not a concept here at all. That's number one. Number two, as a girl, uh, I don't even know where to start. If at 2 a.m. I step out of my house and I roam around town, um, nothing, nothing, what am I saying? Basically, nothing is going to cause me any harm, nothing and nobody. Um, People here, if they find me at 2 a.m., if a man, an uncle finds me at 2 a.m., he's probably going to escort me back home, and say, "Ki, don't go outside, there are snakes," or something like that. But never have I been looked at in a different way, and I don't look like them. So staring would have been very obvious, but they don't do it. They look at us as guests, and if we say Atithi Devo Bhava, they literally live it. They live it. We probably only say it and then treat people the way we want. A lot of times, I'm not saying every time, but here they actually live it. They live the saying. And even if I'm wandering outside, and if at all um, a UG army guy, Naga army guy comes, uh, he's probably going to ask me what my name is and what I'm doing here, and probably escort me home. Nobody will.
Okay.
Rape is not a concept here. Um, Female, I don't know, sexual harassment is not a concept here. So I live in paradise. Um, and this is in India. This
Yeah.
is nowhere else but in India, and a very, very small village in India.
Mm.
So if you say that villagers, for example, don't know anything and are not educated, and how do you expect them to behave a certain way? It's it's crazy how well educated they are at life, and the city folks really need to learn things from them. And these are just a few things. These are literally just a few things. You will see wherever you go, you will see people laughing all the time, smiling all the time, and their lives are super hard. They literally live hand to mouth. They still, to an extent, live the hunter gatherer lifestyle. They do farming also, but they also live the hunter gatherer lifestyle. So it's not like their life is easy. They have to fetch water from kilometers away and bring it home. So even after all of this, at the end of the day, you will see them sitting around the fire with their family and having a laugh over something, and the jokes are super innocent, not taking a dig at anybody. It's insane. And then a few days ago, I went to somebody's house, not here in the village, but in Pune, when I was in Pune last time, and they said something on the lines of gauthi something something, like gau curry. Mm, what did she say? Gavandhar Stilna or something. Basically, it's not a very nice thing to say about villagers. And Adani Astil, which means that they won't be educated. So how do you manage? And I just told her that I don't know. It's very easy for me to manage. I don't know how they manage. Having a person like city people like us in their really pure um, space is something that they, I'm sure, find it difficult, but they don't ever say anything. But they're just so good at so many things. And I don't mean that us city folk aren't good at things, but I'm just saying that these concepts that people have about villagers, and how a villager has sort of become like a bad, not bad, but like a demeaning term. If anyone calls me a villager, very honestly, I'll be super proud now, because I see what villagers are like, and I would strive to be like them. I would strive to be half as good people a person as them. So that is something that I really would want people to hear and know, that these guys are insane, and that people shouldn't have any preconceived notions about them or anybody else in the world for that
Mm.
matter. Because what you see is not what real, like, it's not always what it is, right?
Mm.
So yeah.
It's amazing. And exactly what does Sunbird Trust do, and what do you do there on a day-to-day basis, or what is your contribution to what Sunbird does?
So Sunbird Trust is an NGO that works in the northeastern part of India. It's a non-political, non-religious NGO, and what we're trying to do is, our motto is peace through education. So we're trying to uh, sponsor children all over Northeast for, so that they get access to education, because a lot of times people don't have money for education, and the government schools don't work. So we sponsor children, we build schools, we build hostels, and we also go a step forward, and we're also engaging with the communities that we live with, so that we have they have a chance to earn money and pay for their children's education. So we're also looking at community engagements. So for example, we this time, for the first time, we produced and sold roselle tea. the
Yeah.
one that you really like.
Yeah, I had it. It
So,
was amazing.
the farmers who cultivated it, they were directly benefited by this, and so we're trying to um, also engage the community in projects so that they also get empowered to educate their children, and um, in turn, get a place in the community and society as a whole. And what I am doing, there's actually multiple things that I'm doing. So in Sunbird, we don't really have one role because it's a very small organization. So everybody does everything. Uh, but right now, I'm handling the social media for Sunbird Trust, managing the website with you. Um, I am going around Manipur, may, maybe a little bit of Nagaland also, and I'm recording videos, music videos with the children. So if you haven't checked out our Dil Bhi Parwa video,
Yeah.
which I did with our village girls, please check it out. So videos like these would come up um, in the near future whenever this lockdown is over, when I get a chance to travel again. Um, so one thing I've realized is most of these children, all of them, in fact, are so talented. Their their musical ear is amazing. They're super super good at everything to do with music. Um, so I thought, why not leverage this and show the world what these kids are really capable of, and they don't have training or anything. And if you listen to Dil Be Parwa, you'll know what I'm talking about. They'll know harmonies and things like that come to them naturally, and this is something that usually people struggle with when they're singing a song. So thought, let's do this for our kids in Manipur and Northeast in general. So that's another thing of what I'm doing. I'm also writing a little bit for Sunbow Trust. I was teaching till December. I was teaching in the school here. This year I'm not because I would require to travel a lot. But yeah, so these are a few things that I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's amazing. I think I am so inspired. So I think it's truly inspirational, truly amazing. First of all, your journey, from Pune to Amazon, Bangalore to, Northeast. So that is an inspiring journey, of course. Secondly, I think very, very important. I think the lifestyle and the culture of the Northeast. Essentially, I don't even know why we call it the Northeast. It's just like calling Gujarat as the West, which we don't normally do, right? Or Maharashtra as the West. So,
I'd like to add something.
sure.
Um, because of Corona, a lot of our northeastern brothers and sisters have faced a lot of racism,
Wow.
and I would really, really urge people to look through these differences. Just because um, people here look slightly different than the rest of India,
Mm,
does not mean that they. It's okay to call them Chinese. It's okay to say. It's okay to call them coronavirus. Like, it's ridiculous what people are doing. People are being thrown out of their homes um, because of their features and things like that. And this is something that really, really breaks my heart. Um,
yeah.
and I'm saying this because Sunbird right now, um, our we have 35 sponsored children from Manipur studying in Bangalore right now,
Hmm.
and these 35 students are, you won't believe what they're doing right now. They're helping people in Bangalore. They're helping people who are affected by the coronavirus by providing them food and things like that. They're going to places delivering rice and dal and whatever ration that they can. And yeah, I mean, this is what Northeast is about. It's really all about this. So yeah.
So amazing. I think on that note, we can just call it off right now. Super interview, and thank you so much for doing this, Rucha. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for talking to me, Abhi. And I realized, so initially when you said you wanted to interview me, I was super nervous. But later I realized I actually had lots to say. And maybe I'm thinking I still have lots to say. But I'm so happy that you gave me this space and opportunity to talk about it, because I guess people really, really, really need to know a
Yeah,
lot more about the Northeast than they already do. So,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Thank
amazing.
you for listening to me, and thank you for bringing these stories out, because we really need them to be heard.
थोड़ी थोड़ी है सबकी सुनी, थोड़ा कुछ तो सबने कहा, थोड़ा थोड़ा समझा भी मगर दिल ये माने कहा, बस इसकी जिद है दिल बेफिक्र लापता, कैसे ये धुन है खोकर भी कुछ ना मिला, इस दिल की आदत यही है, गिर कर संभलता नहीं है, जालिम समझता नहीं है ये कोई जुबान, ये दिल बेपरवाह, ये दिल बेपरवाह। कतरा कतरा हो गया, दिल ये बिखरता गया, दुनिया गुजरती रही, टुकड़ों बिछड़ती रही, बस इसकी जिद है दिल बेफिक्र लापता, कैसी ये धुन है खोकर भी कुछ ना मिला, इस दिल की आदत यही है, गिर कर संभलता नहीं है, जालिम समझता नहीं है ये कोई जुबान, ये दिल बेपरवाह, ये दिल बेपरवाह। इस दिल की आदत यही है, गिर कर संभलता नहीं है, जालिम समझता नहीं है ये कोई जुबान, ये दिल बेपरवाह, ये दिल बेपरवाह, ये दिल बेपरवाह, ये दिल बेपरवाह।